administrivia here. Let's see. I have created a new GitHub repository that holds the code for everything I'm working on in this channel. It's github.com tangentstorm.jpres. JPres is not the name of this thing, but I don't have a name for it, so it's a JPresentation tool. And this has links to the videos. It has a small description of what's going on in the application that I'm building, as well as I added a link to the actual script of the upcoming episode, so you can see like what's being parsed here. Actually, probably works better if you click on raw. And it shows you how to what requirements you'll need to install to get this working. I'm not sure this is complete because it also uses ViewMat, or I make use of ViewMat. But I do not expect to be able to run any of this code. This is very much a prototype at the moment. So if you try it, it's probably going to fail because you don't have certain paths set up. For example, the path to this thing is to this particular episode or screenplay is hard-coded. But that's something that I hope to improve over the course of these videos. Right. And just a little note about that, you know, about the goal of the show. Like, my goal is to, you know, I started this because I wanted to make videos, like scripted videos about J. So this live thing is pretty new to me. I'm trying it out, and I'm committed to doing this until the point that I have this tool working for other people to use, both for myself and for other people to use. And then after that, I don't know what I'm going to do. So we'll see. Okay, so looks like we had 3 people in the chat already. So good morning, ridiculously good morning to you. And let's see. Where I left off yesterday, I had done a demo of the application, which I'll show again just since we're still pretty new here. Over here we've got an editor. This is exactly what you'll see on that GitHub page. We've got an editor. We've got a REPL. These are meant to be shown in the presentation that I'm making. So it's a presentation about programming in J. And the idea is that down here we have the script of the thing that I'm writing, or that I want to present. And so as I page through, I'm pressing 9 and 0 right now to page through. It's showing me what's going to be on the screen as each one of these sections start. And then I can press N and P to page through the REPL interactions and kind of replay them. So it's kind of a time-traveling REPL. So right here, the idea is that, in fact, what I'm working on now, let's go to a page where we have multiple inputs here. So you'll notice that these are things that I'm probably going to be saying on the screen, and then these lines with the colon in front of them are entries into the REPL. And so when I press N to go onto this line, it's showing the words appear in the REPL, and when I press N again, it's going to show the result of running that. So that's something that, so this is some J code that makes a plus sign, and now I'm going to say, well, okay, I've assigned it to Y, so is Y greater than 3? Well, here we go. That's the actual array behind that image that you're seeing above there. So here's more things that I'm going to talk about while I'm giving this presentation. And you'll notice that the text just kind of appears on the screen, which is kind of it's a little bit unnatural. It looks like I'm just copying and pasting every piece of text into the REPL. And what I really want is to replay macros. I want to record what I'm typing and then play it back. And it doesn't have to be the exact timing, but I want it to look somewhat natural as I'm typing these entries into the REPL. So the plan is that inside this screenplay, there are going to be lines here that say right above these lines that have the actual text. There are going to be extra lines that have something that say something like this, and then they'll have a bunch of little commands that are meant to indicate what are the so right now that just showed up in the REPL. That's not what's going to happen when it has this dot in front of it. The intent is that that is going to indicate that here is the macro that I'm going to use to record how I typed the following line. And so the intent is that, well, okay, right now, when this file loads, it pre-runs every single line in the screenplay that has the colon in front of it, and it builds this REPL, it builds this big data structure that tracks the state at every point. And the idea is that if it has the dot at the start of the REPL, that's not valid-j, so that's going to indicate that it's a macro, and the idea will be that this will be the animation that, or the timing information that produces how did I arrive at typing this line, this next line. And in fact, there's going to be a little bit of a test framework here to make sure that the so if I go through and change a line of code in the script, in the screenplay, it's going to make sure that the macro actually generates the line that it's meant to. So that's kind of the point. That's kind of the context of what we're doing here. And yesterday, where we left off, was I had run the interactive version of this editor, the recording part, and on the screen I had changed the text on the screen to some silly piece of J, and I had it. We developed the ability to record the timestamp of each keystroke, and I decided I didn't want to record every single timestamp of each keystroke. I don't need it to be that perfect. So the conclusion I've come to is I want to have I want to have a sort of encoding that says something a little bit like music notation, where I'm encoding rests between key presses, and the length of the rest, unlike music notation, is not going to be, well, I guess it is. In music notation, you double the length of the rest, so you've got this exponential growth between a 16th rest and an 8th rest and a quarter rest, and so on. And so the same idea is going to apply here. I'm going to have this idea of a pause character inside the macro. What I did is I used a logarithm to, so let's parse this code. We have tsed. These are the timestamps. Just as a recap, if you missed this was all in the last like 5-10 minutes of the previous episode. So we have the timestamps recorded for the keystrokes in the editor, and then we're doing this line right here. So this is the definition of the encoder that turns it into this. So what it's saying is take a window of every two items, a window of every two items there, and then we are going to for each one of those, instead of we're going to subtract the second one from the first one, or subtract the first one from the second one. So we're going to insert a subtraction sign in between, but we're going to reverse the argument. So here's the subtraction sign, here's the reverse, and then we have to insert it in between the two items. Right now that just says subtract them from themselves, so of course you give a 0. So there we have a list of the deltas, or the deltas between the two, between every two keystrokes. And then what I did is I took some arbitrary logarithm. I think I used 6 at the time, but so the base 6 logarithm, and then I rounded it down. Oh, first we multiply that by 100 just to get it into the realm of numbers that don't have negative logarithms, and then we take the base 6 log, or some q logarithm. I use 6, and then, or I don't know what I use, but the intent is this is going to be like a parameter. So we take some logarithm, and then we round it down, and those give us the numbers that the timing information. And then so when I play this back, it's gonna try and put rests in here. The idea is that if it's a 0, I'm not going to mark up the macro in any way. But if it's a 1, I'm going to put a rest character in there. If it's a 2, I'm going to put 2 rest characters in there. And then I think that that's probably enough. I'm probably going to have the delay be I'm probably going to use only 1 and 2. So I'm probably just not even going to bother. I'm probably just going to have a single character be the weight idea in the macro language. And then so if I want 2 of them, I'll just put 2 of those characters in a row. I don't think I'm going to worry about longer pauses than that, because the idea is if I need that, I can simply have 3 lines here. I can just break the macro, the macro itself into. I can't delete. I don't have all the key bindings set up yet, but I would just break it into 2 different macros. So if I need to have really fine-grained control over the presentation, I'll have one part of the macro here, and then I'll just run that part of the macro. So I'll do that, and then I'll hit N again when I'm ready to have it. I'll hit 1. I'll speak as it's animating, and then hit N again to animate the next stop. And so that gives me manual control over the pause in between any 2 steps. And so I think that's enough. So there'll be some level of randomness. There'll be a pause character, which will also be somewhat randomized, and then 2 of them in a row will be two pause characters, or 2 pauses randomized. So I've got three levels of speed there, and I think that's enough. And of course, I can just keep repeating the pauses as a hack if I need them, but I think I don't need that very much, because most of the time, if you want the animation to look natural, I should probably turn my camera on. If you want the animation to look natural, then sorry, 1 second. 1 second, there we go. Technical difficulties. If you want the animation to look natural, then I think that it doesn't, it doesn't really have to follow any particular. It doesn't have to be the exact order that I actually typed it. It should be inspired by the person who typed the code, but you probably don't need exact timing. You just want it to look natural and not look like a robot is typing your code on the screen. And then the pauses are for effect, but they're subtle. Like oftentimes, you pause for just a second to think, or if you're typing a string and then now you pause just a slight bit after that when you switch gears to now typing something that you do with the string or whatever. So those kinds of very small pauses, I think will give it kind of a natural feel when it's playing these animations, and then I won't feel bad about not actually recording my all my typos and whatnot. And of course, you can leave typos in there as well. So that's what we're doing, and we've got these time codes here. We've got these time codes working. So this is all now encapsulated in this little, sorry, I think I call it get times maybe. Get log and get times. Sorry, I've got to run it, and then that gives the information. So now I have this thing called get log. Oops, bad. That is, this is the macro that I have recorded. Probably at some point I'm going to have the ability to type, to hit a numeric prefix that will cause it to repeat the following character a certain number of times. Again, this is based on Vim, the text editor Vim, and that's what Vim does. So I will probably introduce that into the macro code. But for today, my goal is 3 things. I want to merge these 2 together. So I want to take this string and put it into the log itself. And so what will happen is every time there's a 1, I'm going to put an underscore. I don't know what an underscore does in Vim, but in my macro language, it's going to introduce a pause. If there's 2, there's going to be 2 underscores. And if there is a if there is a 0, then I would just leave it unadorned. So the log itself actually doesn't look like this. It looks like, sorry, it's log with a capital L-O-G. It's a noun, and it looks like this. So we have some, I'm kind of faking it. Every time I press an insert a character, I'm using this question mark to say go into insert mode, insert the character, go out of insert mode. So the length of this should be exactly the same as the length of the timestamps, which is TS of ed. And so if I box the individual characters of TS, oh, that's unpleasant. I probably want to box the characters get time right after I've done the processing. Get times S. And then I should be able to append that to the macro there. So log of ed. What? Okay. Let's see. Length of that is now 35. Why is the length of that 35 if the length of this is... Oh. Oh, I know why. That is because I started with a... so I need to fix this. The length of the times themselves, TS, the timestamps, is 36. But when I put that moving window in, it's when I put that moving window in, it took every 2 of them, and so in looking at the pairs, there would have been one extra one at the end, and so that or in looking at the pairs, in order to map single items to pairs, you have there's like a reduction there, because there's one more single item than there are pairs, adjacent pairs. And so I guess the fix is just I need to put a 0 at the start of get times. Right, so now if I so this says this is an identity. So okay, so get times 0 with it in front of it, and then I want to say box each one of those. If I box it, I get the box around the whole of it. So I want to box all of them. But now that if I do this, this is parsed as a single token, so I need a separator. Without it, it'll do. Yeah, so these things both went to the rank argument, and so we lost the 0 in front. So if I want to keep that, I need that. And now I can, I should be able to copy, to append this to the log of ed. Yeah, and I think if I do this, I'll get side by side, or up, one above the other. Okay, so I want the timing information to come first. So I'm going to put it like that with the tilde in between. And really, I need something in here that's going to convert so once I've boxed it, I need to, I want to convert it to have that number of these characters, so of underscore characters. So that is easy to do. If we had a, no, I don't need this. It's this. If we do that, this is I've shown this before, but if you say 5 take or 5 copies of X, then you get that. If you do 0 copies, you get nothing. So and then if you bind the X to the argument, so this becomes a verb all of its own, and then you can pass in the number of times you want. So 0, whatever, and that's exactly what we have here. We have the number of times that we want. So let's apply this to each item of this. There we go. Except I want an underscore. Right. So that will give me my pausing information in the macro. I think I can get rid of this now. Yeah. So I don't need to box it because what each does is it does the operation under the unbox operation. So or the under unboxing. So under means do something. Do the if you're under X, then or under function G, then you apply G, and then you do the operation that you want to do. So in this case, you take that number of underscores, and then you undo G, and so you rebox the item. So if we make this happen, if we use each, we're saying under unboxing. So unboxing something that isn't boxed is just a null operation, and the end result is that it just applies the reboxing there. So there we go. So that's what we want, and then now we can do what I was doing before. We can take this part and oops, sorry. And now we have the prefixes inserted with the macro code, and so now I can join these two boxes together on each row, and that will combine them, and it will but it will unbox everything. So I'm going to have to rebox them in a second. So yeah. So that's not actually what I want. I want to unbox each row. That gave me what I wanted, but in the meantime, it has appended some invisible characters to all of the to every row. You can't see them, but they're empty strings at the end here. So if I now if I raise the thing, ravel the thing, we wind up with all these spaces in there, which actually is not a problem. Except that the code that combines the insert statements together is looking for two question marks in a row. Which, yeah. So let's see. Basically, I just don't want these spaces in here. And what I want instead is to, I believe if I do this, that puts, yeah, it's a little hard to see, but there's no extra spaces because we've done this all under boxing. So Jay wants everything to be let's back up. Jay wants everything to be, and I almost hesitate to use this word, but rectilinear, like rectangular, right? There was a whole argument on the Jay or the APL farm Discord the other day about rectangles, but Jay wants everything to be a rectangular, and or to have the same number of dimensions along all axes for all of its items. And so here, these boxes, they have different length strings inside of them, and that's perfectly fine because a box is not an array. I mean, a box contains an array, but it doesn't. It's not. It allows you to put ragged, different shapes into your structure. But when you unbox it with the way I was doing it a second ago, this is now whatever the longest string here, so probably a 5 by however many items there are, it's that size array. And like there are actually extra space characters at the end here, or null characters or something like that. And you can see that if you say at what index in the alphabet is each one of those characters, and you can see there's a bunch of extra space characters. 32 is the space character. So we don't want that, and so that's why I did this. So at rank 1, for each row, I'm going to, I believe this was raise I'm going to join all the boxes together, and then rebox it. And I believe, okay, I don't know why. So the conventional wisdom is that you normally want to put, there's kind of 2 flavors of this that operate at different ranks, but like I almost always use this one, and they almost always say to use this one. So I don't know. I'm not an expert on the nuance between those 2, but I tend to use this one, and it does what I want. So it's saying it's composing these 2 functions. So take the looking at these boxes like this, for each of these rows, combine the 2 things by removing the box on the row, the 2 boxes, and then put a box around the result. And so those parentheses are redundant, so that's my result. And then now I can apply that same operator on the entire result here, and that will give me the final macro with timing information. So this is what I want for, this should be the new version of getlog. And then, and then I want to apply, we still have these double question marks here. And so then I want to apply mi of ed to this, and that should remove the double question marks. And that is the complete macro that I want to record as I'm typing things. So this now becomes the new implementation of this. So I am inside of ed now, so I don't have to explicitly refer to these things. So I have the log, and I have get times, and that's it. And so probably get times I should put it before that for clarity. Okay. So now I would imagine that if I run this program and I haven't introduced some kind of weird bug, I have introduced a bug. Not found. Oh, that's because I moved everything to this jpres directory, so I need to move to jpres now. Let me make sure I am. Yeah, okay, that's in jkvm, so that's nothing to worry about there. So cd, I believe I put it in jpres. Yeah. And now if I run this, all right, so there's my macro being recorded, and so now I'm starting with the string hello world, and I'm going to record some stuff happening. I'll put it, let's see, what's the sum of the first 10 primes. How about that? Okay, and so now I've done that. So now my log of ed should be whatever I just typed to make that happen. And if I say get log of ed, yeah, I have timing information there, so I'm happy with that. It looks like I do have some three length pauses. I'm just going to roll with it. I will fiddle with that later. So now if I want, okay, so let's record this. Let's, by record it, I mean I'm going to take this and move this into the source code for the REPL here. This is not really a REPL yet. This is just so this is macro 1. Well, actually, let's just start here. So the initial code, I don't need this. This turns that into this macro turns this into hello world, and so I'm just going to skip over that for now. I'm going to keep this around just in case I want to play with it later. So I'll just start with hello comma world as my string. And now I'll make the macro. So these are all, this is redundant now. These are comment or overwritten. And here's my long macro. All right, so if I play this, it does not yet know how to handle the underscore character, so nothing magic is going to happen. But hopefully it will not break. And so let's just see if it does not break. So, okay, well I saved it to the wrong directory. So jpres REPL. Yes, overwrite it, and so we should. Now we should start with hello world, and it's doing the pausing automatically. Why is it doing the pausing automatically? Because it has a pause after every keystroke. Yes, this is right. The problem is that, so whatever keys I was pressing to delete, so let's see. So what's happening is I have some keys that are not being parsed by the macro recorder. So I think that worked. I think that did absolutely what I wanted. And in fact, it surprised me by doing the pausing automatically. So let's play it again. You can see there's a pause there, and then it's, you know, a little bit of pause. Maybe it's not doing the pauses. I don't know. Let's see. So I need to go. I need to edit. I need to go to the editor. Editor here. I wanted to put these side by side. So I'll add another Emacs, and I'll go to the editor. And over here, I'll go to the REPL. So I need to see which one of some of these characters I have not yet implemented. So maybe I should just implement all of them, and then we won't have this problem in the future. Okay, so let's see. I have insert working. I have delete. No, I don't. So X is delete. Backspace is X, which I have. Okay. 0 is beginning of line, which I do not have. So do beginning of line. E, I have end of line, or sorry, $, I have end of line. H for back, I have. L for for, I do not have. So backward and forward, or backward and back one character and back one word, and then now we have for and forward. And so forward is the W, and FOR, forward one character, is L. I don't think I typed the T, but T is the swap character. Ben doesn't have that. Emacs has that, so I need that. Swap, and backward I've already had. Okay, so now the macro recorder knows how to play back every one of those macros, or every one of those keys that it knows how to record. So if I close this, oops, sure. And I run this again, hopefully that should, there we go. So that played my whole macro exactly the way I wanted it. Okay, so that was the goal. That was, I think I'm happy with that. Just to make sure I'm not completely fooling myself, I'm going to put an extremely long pause here, and just make sure there's an extremely long pause. Because I think it's pausing on every keystroke, no matter what it is, even if it doesn't understand the thing. So there's the pause. Okay, so yeah, we have timing information. It's not exactly what I was planning. It doesn't do the exponential nature of it, because, well, I guess the intent was I wouldn't need that, because I can do 0 repetitions, and then, or 1 or 2, and then that's exponential right there, right? You know, you can do you know, 1 to 2 is geometric growth by doubling. But since I only have that many that many items in the sequence, it doesn't matter. But this is fine. And in fact, maybe since I said that I was already going to combine the idea of, I was already going to have the idea of repeated characters by using a prefix. Maybe this is sensible, because maybe I just use a prefix and say, I want 15 pauses. And then I can have 15 X's or 15 inserts or whatever, and it will. Vim is a nice language. They thought through a lot here. Okay, it works even for things that Vim wasn't doing, like timing. Okay, so this now works. We've now encoded timing in the macro itself. This we got for free. Got this for free. Free because it pauses after each keystroke. Although this may, I'm gonna put this at the end because we may have to undo this. So initially got this for free because it pauses after each keystroke. But the next thing I want to do is move these out of the while loop and put them into the application event loop. If that makes sense. So I'm going to commit this code here. All right, so if I go to my Git screen, let's see what. Oh, I must have made some changes to app that I didn't. Oh, this is what I'm about to do. So I got ahead of myself there. It doesn't. That's just an identity function. I just left myself a space for it. Okay, so the change that I've made here is let's get commit, UI edit, add timestamps, add pauses to macros, and fill in other commands. Fill in all commands. Okay, this is just one line change that I made, and I'll just leave that for now. This is my old directory, so I need to move to the new directory that I made for this thing and see if I've made any changes over here. What do they call that on the JPress? Okay, so I already did that. So this is gh readme, and I actually need to get fetch, get status, get rebase. Oh, no, I can just skip pull, and now the diff is. Again, this is kind of a scratch file, but I'm just keeping it for posterity for this video. So REPL use a macro with pauses. Okay, and I'll push that up to the repo on GitHub, and now we're ready to go. So hello everybody that showed up. Looks like we got, I don't know, it shows me 3 people in the chat, and then it shows me like 5 actual names. So I'm still not really sure how to see who's live, but anybody is welcome to ask questions and sign in. All right, so let's see. I'm at about the 40-minute mark. So I have about 20 minutes left to do the macro animations and make them asynchronous. That's not really that hard. So let's think about what needs to happen here. What needs to happen to make that asynchronous? I don't know if these are to-do items. I'm just brainstorming here. So, so I had one line. So app, or each widget needs an update. Each widget needs an update function, verb, and a flag for whether it's active or not, active or animated. So then app should call update on every active widget before it, on each tick, before it re-renders. Then make these like this. These like subtasks, and then you can then as you toggle them, it updates this counter up there. All right, so we're going to do these two things. So we're going to have the concept of active widgets or animated widgets. When that flag is set, we're going to call the update verb on each one before we call render, and then update will be responsible for saying that if something is changed, then I'm going to mark myself as in need of a refresh. I think that's it. I think that's all that we have to do for well, and then so now we need a verb. So app needs a to make this happen. App should have a step verb. So let's say step of app. There you go. Step of app should call update. Step verb in app should call update every active widget on every active widget. And then the code itself, the REPL IJS should call app should call step instead of render. So main code, the main loop should call app instead of render, should call step instead of render. And then so we need timing information. So the argument, this is like a game argument to step should be the delta between delta, the time difference since the last step. Time delta, right? Since last step. Step. So that has to happen in jkvm.ijs in the KVM framework. And then once we have that, the editor needs a flag or mode that indicates it's playing. Maybe the A flag does this. Probably want to ignore keyboard input while the macro is playing. And then I think that's it. Well, and then we need to decide. So editor's update. Oh, sorry. Update method should play the current macro. The next character, the next character in the macro if it's active, if it's animated. All right. So I'm probably going to move this thing about ignoring the keyboard input while the macro is playing until the very end, because I can just not touch the keyboard. I can just be an adult and not smash things while it's running. And I can implement that later. I also actually do want to process keyboard events because I want to be able to like stop the macro or something, or pause the macro, or rewind the macro maybe. So that'll come later. Hello, thyrobiologist. Nice to see you. Welcome. Okay. Each widget needs an update verb. Okay, so I think this is ready to go. So let's do this. So let's start with going into JKVM and go to ver. That's my directory structure. I have symlinks to some things, but not symlinks. Actually, I probably should have a symlink to that one, just so that I avoid this problem. Give me a second here. lm has ver jkvm. So now I can just go directly to jkvm, and I don't want that. I want jkvm UI edit. No, I want UI itself, right? Because I'm going to start with. Make sure I'm doing the right thing. Each widget needs an update verb. Yeah. Okay, so UI widget needs an update verb, which here will do nothing, and we need a flag that says whether we are animating, and by default that is going to be 0, because most things are visible, but they are not animating. Animated active. Okay, and then in the app, let's see. So we have, this is the render verb. So let's yeah, we'll do update and render for the app level 2. And it's really going to be the same thing as this. So for each widget in the widgets that are so just to see what this means, say you have some numbers like I10. So let's say that's our W. So W is that, and then we want to say which of these are greater than 5. So W greater than let's say W mod 3 is equal to no, it's 3 mod W is equal to 2. Okay, so every third one. We're just picking some. So here are some with some flags are set, and then if we say W, and then we're using this to tell us, we're using this output to say how many copies of W do we want to take, and so it filters it down. So these are all the ones that are a 2 mod 3. And that's all the even ones, right? So 2 mod 3 is this. So in other words, this is a selection operator. So this selects where. You might call this where. So W where some bitmap, right? This right here is saying so of is a start at the end. W is a list of widgets. So it's a bunch of boxes that contain numeric strings saying what are the widgets that we are in my application. And then of takes a takes one of those boxes, one of those references to an object, and extracts a name from it. So it's like saying v of w and r of w, and this rank operator is saying, okay, operate on each individual character in this thing. So I can get the flag called v and the flag called r. But here I don't need that because I've only got one character, and I don't need an and in between them because I've only got one bit coming out. So a is a bit. So basically now this says for every widget, the widgets filtered by the ones which are active do the following. And all we're going to do is we're going to call update on that widget. So in the render, I have this has focus flag. I don't know if that's useful. So I don't know if it's useful, so I will not put it in now, but what we do need to put in is the timestamp. So somewhere in here I define the word now. I think I actually, that's in edit. Edit by JS now, right? It wouldn't surprise me if this is a built-in keyword in J. Like it's such a common thing. Let's see if there's a name for this, and then maybe I can just use the common one and not confuse people who actually know J. No, I want. I have the standard. There you go. The standard library is documented here. So let's see. There's something maybe under dates. T-stamp? Nope. I feel time X is going to tell you the it's timing an expression, so it's like a profiler kind of thing. Oh, let's look at what time X is. Maybe oh, okay. So it's just a name for that. So I would think there's probably a name for number 3, but whatever. I'm not going to worry about it. So we'll just duplicate that. So this is the way you get the current timestamp. So it's not the current timestamp in absolute terms. It's the time since J started. So so I've been active for like 4 seconds there, 5 seconds. Okay, but that's fine. It is something representing the current time, and I'm just gonna reuse that. And if it's duplicated code, so be it. Okay, so inside the application, I'm going to have this now verb, and maybe then, now and then is equal to now. Okay, and so maybe. So if we say then is equal to now, so the current timestamp, you can say that's going to be greater than the previous then. So if I do this again minus now, that's not what I want. Oops. I'm kind of counting to see if I get it. Oops. Sorry. 1, 2, 1. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, It's hard because okay, so I should like make it an integer basically. Oh wow. So let's do like let's do 1,000 student seconds times, I think that's milliseconds there. Times this. Wait. That's got to be nanoseconds. What is that? How? That can't be milliseconds. Foreign. How did I look this up yesterday? Time. Number of seconds since Jay started running. This should be in seconds. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on. I'm of course, it's a very tiny number. I'm doing something stupid. I wanted to subtract then, right? There we go. That makes more sense. So I'm going to evaluate then, subtract it from now, and then I'll reassign. But I think that this is going to screw up and also give me 0 every time. Oh, no, it doesn't. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, about that. Okay, yeah. So that's an interesting tidbit about J execution order. So this, even though it's in parentheses, it does not get evaluated until after these two things have been pushed onto the stack. So the way the J interpreter works is it pushes this, it evaluates this, pushes it onto the stack, evaluates this, pushes it onto the stack. And then evaluates this thing in parentheses and pushes it onto the stack. And so then we have 3 numbers on the stack. And so it doesn't, it looks up the value of this immediately and then reassigns it now. So this is safe. Okay. So this is then what we will, this is now what we will pass into update W. For each widget, we will tell it how many seconds always tell, update gets the number of seconds since the last tick. Except I don't want this to be like all random. I want it to kind of be a little bit synchronized. So so we have a concept of like a frame rate or whatever. Since the last frame. So we'll call this delta. And that's a local variable. That I'm only using that for this function, so we don't need that anywhere. Whereas then and now our global now is a member function, and then is a member variable. Or yeah, member. It's just a member, and then we pass it the delta. And I don't know any other way to call update on each item in a list of objects other than using a for loop. I don't think there's like an array-centric way to do that. I've kind of done something like that with this of command. So let's see what of does. Oh, it's right here. So you pass it the object on the right, and you pass it the word you want to look up on the left, and so it constructs that string using underscore underscore y, which is like that subscript notation. So x of y is literally how I pronounce this anyway. If you said x of y, that's how I would pronounce it. And then this tilde, when it's applied to a string, it's kind of like it moves from a string to so if we say log of ed or oh, okay, so if we say log of ed, as a string, we get a string, but if we put the tilde on it, we actually... I'm not in the right program, right? JRuffle. CD, JPres. J. So log of ed is a string. Log. Got to actually run the thing, right? Yeah, okay, come on. Okay, so ed is the object. Log of ed is, well, an empty string at the moment. We can say b of ed to see what's in the buffer. And if I just say b of ed as a string, I get string b of ed, obviously. But if it's almost an evaluation, but all it can do is look up a name. So it's much safer than doing that, which is evaluate a piece of J code, right? You get the same result, but this could be, delete your hard drive. So that's bad. And so normally you only use this if you trust the input, or the user is typing it themselves or something like that, and you know that it's going to be executed that way. Okay, I'm actually out of time, so I am going to stop right here. So I have implemented update of Delta. We ran things and it seemed to work. Actually, I'm going to do one thing before I turn off the code, and actually, I didn't actually run that, so that code is not actually being evaluated. So I'm going to switch over to, so back to REPL. I'm going to change this to say, instead of render app, I'm going to say step app, and I'm just going to make sure that this works the same way. It does. So even though nothing is being updated, it is calling update, and we have an error. Okay, well, that's something I can debug tomorrow, so something to look forward to. Thank you for watching, those of you that dropped by, and thank you for everybody watching on YouTube. Hopefully there are some little chapter descriptions at the bottom. And always feel free to come by, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Talk to you soon.